Welcome to Crypto Kid Podcast. Thank you for joining on Mike Bailey, special guest today. He's a co-founder and a CEO of GameOn, and they are currently doing some big things. They're on some stock exchanges, and it's an honor and pleasure to have up here. And he just got into blockchain technology in the Web3 industry. Well, not just, but a little while ago, and he has some exciting things to share. So why don't you give us a little background on how you heard about blockchain technology and why'd you want to introduce your company on this technology?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I come from a sports background. I worked for teams and leagues like the Brooklyn Nets in the NBA, the Harlem Globetrotters, the New York Islanders. So as I spent those years in professional sports, I kind of noticed that there's a new generation of fan coming through. So like millennials, Gen Z, they're consuming sports in a different way, right? I think maybe my generation, my age group of maybe mid-30s, we're the last to be able to sit down on the couch and watch a NFL game for 3.5, maybe 4 hours and just watch passively. When I lived in America, I'd sit and do that all day, right? But millennials and Gen Z won't. They demand more. They want to own the content. They want to play the content. They want to influence the content in a way that their predecessors didn't really care about. And I noticed that when I was working in the professional sports world, and then I thought that Web3 could play a role in serving fans, the new era of fans, the experience that they wanted. And that's what we're doing at GameOn. Is we're doing that through fantasy games, and we're bringing fans closer to their favorite players, teams, and sports in a way that hasn't been done in the past, and in a way that Web3 and the blockchain enables us to do so.
Awesome. That's great to know. Yeah, I used to be in fantasy football and all that, but I really never, I was never really a fan of it. Like it was just, you always had to keep up with the games and the players, and I was just like, I just have way too much on my plate to be worrying about that right now. But I downloaded your app and it's pretty cool. It's easy to navigate. And yeah, so why don't you tell us about some key features? I was looking on the web and I see that you guys were dabbling in the NFT space.
Yeah. So essentially, what we do is we work with some of the biggest leagues in the world, like La Liga in Spain, the PFL, which is the second biggest MMA league after the UFC, and then Karate Combat, which is a very big crypto-focused karate league. We work with all of those partners, first of all, to sell playable versions of their athletes. So we sell playable avatars of every single athlete in those leagues, and they are NFTs. The user doesn't necessarily know that. They don't need to know that, right? They just need to know how they'll use it and how they'll benefit from them. But we do leverage blockchain and NFTs to power that. And then once you own those players, they're not too dissimilar from the player cards that we used to own back in the day, the physical ones that you would rip open. Now you're doing that in the digital world, and then you're using them in fantasy games. So once you acquire those players, if they are scoring in the actual game, so if they're scoring goals, assists, punches, kicks, takedowns, knockouts, you, as the owner in the games, are earning points, rewards, tickets, tokens, experience, VIP things, and all that kind of stuff in our games. So that's essentially what we've created, is a next generation fantasy game that's built on and powered by Web3.
Okay, yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. And it's gonna be really has it already dropped already where people are able to participate and engage?
We've dropped a couple of like pre-sale small things that aren't necessarily related to the games, but give you boosts and power-ups and extra points and whatnot. But our La Liga game is currently in closed beta, so our team is playing around with it. It will be in open beta in the next month or so, so you'll be able to download and play around with it. And then that will launch in full force for the next La Liga season, which starts in August. That's when you'll be able to buy your player avatars, use them in the games, win tokens and things like that. So over the next couple of months, we'll see our games truly come to life.
Are you guys on like any crypto exchanges instead of the stock market?
So, as a company, GameOn is publicly listed in Canada, where you can find us under the ticker symbol GET on the CSE. So that's where we are from a company standpoint. From a token standpoint, GameOn isn't launching a token ourselves, but we are designing and developing the game token, which is GAME. Our partners at Sportology will be launching the token. They're actually the token issuer. And then we are actually receiving a grant of tokens from them to integrate into our games so that our fans can not only play our games, but they can also win game tokens as part of that experience, and they can spend game tokens as part of that experience. So they'll be able to buy those player avatars with their game tokens. They'll be able to buy boosts and power-ups with their game tokens so that they can win better prizes. They might even be able to do something really cool. For example, La Liga season has just ended, and there's 3 months now where you won't be able to use those players, so they'll be dormant essentially. So in our game, you might be able to spend a few game tokens to transpose your player to a PFL player or a karate combat player, so that during the La Liga off season, your players are still earning points and rewards. That interoperability and that particular use case of a game token is something that cannot happen without Web3, right? It's the blockchain that truly makes that easy and easily facilitated. So the game token, which is where your question kind of stems from, we'll be launching this week, actually. We'll be launching this week by the time this video goes live. And you'll be launching on multiple exchanges that are to be announced. So if you're interested in getting your hands on some game tokens so that you can use them in our fantasy games, I would say follow us on Twitter, GameOn _HQ, and that's where we'll be dropping all the information around the game token TGE, which will be happening this week.
Yeah, and then you guys also have a Discord that people could get on and engage too. So I highly recommend it. Those links will be in the description down below. Now, I was watching some past videos that you did with other podcasts, and you guys have a pretty outstanding reputation with Rockstar Games, like Grand Theft Auto, and what is it, DraftKings, one of those.
Yeah.
And so, you want to explain like any more partnerships that you have coming out, or?
Yeah, I mean, all of those that you mentioned are team experience. So whether it's our board or our day-to-day team, our engineers or me, we come from sports games and Web3. So as I said, I personally come from the professional sports world, the NBA, the Brooklyn Nets, and so on. Our team comes from places like Dapper Labs, which launched NBA Top Shot, Zed Run, and various other Web3 games and products. Our board and advisors have come from places like Grand Theft Auto, Take-Two Interactive, DraftKings, and others. So those logos, companies that you mentioned, are really just team experience. And then as far as our partnerships go, our goal is to work with the biggest leagues in the world, like La Liga, PFL, Karate Combat. We do have others in the pipeline as well. And then, of course, we're very strong and close partners with Arbitrum. We've received an Arbitrum grant. We're building everything on Arbitrum. They support us in a massive way, not only through that funding, but through introductions and really moving the needle in the business each and every week. So Arbitrum are a big partner of ours as well.
Outstanding. That's incredible. So have you guys had any challenges like integrating towards the Web3 space and using blockchain technology to your platform?
I think the biggest challenge is really a macro challenge, a couple of macro challenges. The first being that, in my opinion, Web3 has a marketing problem, right? We keep going out there to the everyday user and using jargon and NFTs and all these acronyms. And the reality is the everyday consumer, if we want to onboard the masses to Web3, if we want to onboard sports fans that don't necessarily care about the tech jargon, we need to talk to them about the benefits of Web3, not the technical underlying procedures and technology of Web3. We need to stop using the technical jargon in our marketing. We need to stop using all these three-letter acronyms, and we need to just keep talking about the rewards and the experiences and the interoperability and everything that they can benefit from Web3. So I think that's been a big challenge, is taking the actual word Web3 out of our vocabulary when we're marketing, taking NFTs out of our vocabulary, because it just confuses them. Instead, we talk about the games, the interoperability, that example that I shared earlier of you being able to transpose your La Liga player into a PFL fighter. Talking about things like that instead, I think, is really important. And in essence, we are building Web 2 up, not Web 3 down. We are a games company, and we're using Web3 to make our games better. And that's it. We're not a Web3 company. We're not a blockchain company in the same way that we're not a cloud company because we use AWS, right?
Right.
That doesn't make us a cloud. That doesn't make us a cloud company. It's the same thing here. So I think that narrative is starting to shift a little bit now. More companies, like for example, Mythical Games and NFL Rivals, are doing exactly that. You know, we have, through that game, we have millions of NFL fans engaging in blockchain without them even knowing it, and that's the kind of ethos we want to follow. So that's been a challenge that we need to work through. The other, obviously, is, you know, with a lot of over the last few years, there's always going to be those bad actors and those companies that blow up and go bankrupt, and that's obviously hard to that's a challenge that we have to work through all the time, especially when we're talking to investors or other supporters in the space. But again, as markets start to come back and we go through these different cycles, the sentiment starts to change. So there are a couple of the challenges we work through.
I see, like when I watch UFC and in the NBA, they have like crypto.com on their floors and advertising. So a lot of companies, when you were in working with the NBA, were they already integrating like the crypto space into it, or did it come later on?
No, they weren't yet. They weren't yet. But a lot of my former colleagues there are at other major leagues, or they've continued climbing the ladder. And even today, you know, like I said, because of those bad things like the crypto.com, FTX, sorry, obviously in Florida, where the arena, because of these bad things that happen every now and then, the leagues are still wary even today. So some leagues are more innovative and will push the boundaries more than others. But I have good friends, some of my best friends at some of the leagues that I won't mention here, but some of them still won't touch it, right? And again, this goes
Right.
back to the challenges that I was just mentioning earlier. Some just simply will not go near Web3 and blockchain because it's too much of a risk for them. You know, certain league commissioners, yeah, like I would say Roger Goodell at the NFL, his mandate right now would be do not touch Web3. We're not going there. We can't afford for an FTX Miami arena to happen to us. And that's unfortunate. You know, and that's what happens when some of the bad actors, which is inevitable, you know, tarnishes the space. But every time there's another bull cycle, every time there's another ETF approved, every time there's another real awesome use case for Web3 that gets publicity and actually penetrates the market, that goes away. All that bad stuff goes away, and it's not an overnight process, but over time, Web3 every single year. If we do this podcast every year on this day every year, there's going to be so much progress that's made when we look back. So it is kind of it takes time, and those leagues will also over time come around as the industry becomes more you know, permeated into society.
Okay. Now, you guys, are you guys going to come out in any more podcasts this year, or is just this going to be the only one?
No, I mean we have a lot. You know, as I mentioned, TGE is happening this week, so I think we have 50 right now. I'm looking at the calendar. We have about 57 events happening this week, podcast spaces, yeah, a bunch of different stuff with different partners. For example, we're doing one with La Liga and Javi Martinez, a La Liga legend. He has over 1 million followers on X. We're doing one with him this week. Follow us on X so you can join that one, especially if you're a La Liga fan. We have so much going on this week around TGE for game, but also in the following weeks, we'll be giving away a bunch of tickets, signed jerseys, all that kind of stuff. So definitely, jump on, join our spaces. Hopefully, we see you there. Maybe we'll pull you up as a speaker with us if you'd like to join.
For sure,
A lot
man.
of fun stuff. A lot of fun stuff going on.
Yeah, and then so are you guys gonna be like any conferences also like blockchain conferences to promote like setting up a table or anything like that?
Yeah, we've been at the last couple. We were just in Dubai for Token 2049.
Yeah.
We also spent some time in Hong Kong. We're looking at what our schedule might be moving forward, but I would say we'll definitely be at Token 2049 in Singapore, which is a great one, and potentially in Bali for Coin. I think it's Coin Fest, which happens in August. So a lot of stuff going on. I think we'll take a bit of a break for the next couple months. Well, not really a break because the game token's launching, so we're very busy with our partners at Sportology, but we're staying behind the desk for a little bit, and then in August and September we'll start some travels again.
Yeah, man. Make sure you check them out if you're wherever he's at, Singapore. I have a lot of listeners, so hopefully some of my listeners will come out and support you and what you're doing. And yeah, it's like what you said, man. It's all fun and dandy and having a good time and partying, but it's like Mark Zuckerberg said, you got to put in the work and put in the hours and all those late nights in his dorm room setting up Facebook, and that's like, it's just like listen to you talk, and it's so true, and it inspires me to put in some more work in my podcast and keep on
Yeah,
going. It should inspire others too. Whoever's starting their own Web3 space company, like get involved because you have young entrepreneurs like Matt and I, and we're pushing the limits. And there is a little there is a little bit of negativity because people don't want to integrate into the space and they're just concerned about the scams like the FTX, like what Matt was saying, and things like that. But this is the point of the matter is like, and I'm sure you agree with me, Matt, that it's here to stay and it's not going anywhere. And it's just you're getting basically an early start to this, and you could potentially do very well for yourself in life. And
yeah,
you don't have to spend a lot of money either, and get involved because it just takes a little bit to get the domino effect going and the snowball thing going. And yeah, just a couple more things. I heard you guys were going through a little hard time with COVID when you guys just started. And why don't you explain to people how you persevered through those times? Because you were staying in New York, I believe, and just share a little bit about your hard comings.
yeah. I mean, yeah. What you just said is right. It's not an overnight success. What we're building stuff in general, be it in Web3 or not, it takes time. I've been at it for 6 years now, and I had no grey hair before. I don't know if anyone's watching or maybe you're listening, but I've got full head of grey hair now, and it's either the startup or my wife. I don't know, maybe both. But yeah, I mean, at the start, COVID was about 4 years ago now. We just launched an app. It was a Web2 app. You could make predictions on sports and win a cash prize. It wasn't crypto yet, and sports stopped. They stopped. For
Yeah.
those sports fans here, if you remember, like I clearly remember, I was in the gym in my apartment in my apartment building watching the NBA. COVID was happening. I was thinking, what the hell is going on? And Rudy Gobert did like that thing in the press conference where he like coughed and like made a joke, and pretty shortly after the NBA stopped. Like it just like said we're stopping everything now, and every other sport did the same. And I'm like thinking, holy shit! Like our app is sports. Like what I do is sports. And at that time everything went to zero. So we actually pivoted right there, right then, and said, all right, if we're not going to have numbers in our app because there are no sports to play, we need to go and like do a white label. We need to sell this as a white label product to a reality TV show because reality TV is not stopping right now. And we were pretty quickly did a deal with the Real Housewives of Potomac and NBC Universal. They paid us at that time $50,000 to do a prediction game for the Real Housewives, and that kind of helped us get by during that time, right? Then we did another white label, another one, and we built that business up to about $2 million a year in revenue just from that white label B2B business. And that was spurred and catalyzed from COVID and sports stopping. And the business has pivoted again a little since then to now like what we're doing in Web3 with these sports leagues behind me, La Liga, PFL, and Karate Combat. But yeah, that staying nimble, staying flexible, and more than anything, surviving those hard times, be it COVID, be it a down market, a bear market that sometimes lasts years, surviving in those times and just turning up every day, doing your content every day, getting a podcast in every week, like just turning up is half the battle and surviving is half the battle, because at the end of that bear market, at the end of COVID, at the end of whatever's that tough time, there's a hell of a lot less competition at the end of it. And if you survive, you've already progressed a lot. So yeah, that was just one example through COVID.
Yeah, I could definitely relate, because when I first started doing content, it only had like 38 or 39 subscribers on my YouTube channel, and literally it was a fight for your life. And I come from a boxing family, and my dad always said, fight off the ropes, man. If your back's against the ropes, start throwing them punches and start getting to work, because this is the real world. And I was just like, I remember when I was a kid, I was just like, Dad, he used to make me rake leaves outside and cut the lawn. And I was just like 6-year-old, 7-year-old. And I'm just like, I don't want to do this. I was like, I want to work in an office. And my dad started laughing so hard. He's like, son, when you get older, life's going to hit you a lot harder, and you're going to have to be able to adapt to your situation. And
Yep.
that's exactly what we're doing, man. You saw an opportunity, your back's against rope. You're just like, all right, now we have to go to something else. We gotta, because I'm sure you had employees on your payroll that needed to feed a family or pay a mortgage or more so.
Yep.
And yeah, dude, I really appreciate you coming out on the show. And whoever's listening, make sure you download the app and get involved. Get involved in their Twitter, their Discord. And yeah, I wish to have you back on here probably next year when you guys are ready to do some more promotions. And hopefully we could link up again and meet in person. If you're ever down in Miami, just let me know and I'll drive down and we'll catch a game, a hockey game.
Yeah, for sure. When I'm visiting back, I lived there for a few years. So when I'm back visiting, I'll definitely hit you up. And if anyone's listening and wants to reach out or just jam about sports, Web3, blockchain, my virtual door is always open. My email's matt@gameon.app. Please reach out. Would love to chat. And yeah, thanks for having me. We'll do this again soon.
Great deal. Take care, bud.